Hey everybody, I am so excited to be here today because I have my buddy, my longtime bestie.
He's my best friend, he's my pal, he's my homeboy, my rotten soldier, he's my sweet cheese, my good time boy.
Oh God, I hate myself for saying that.
It's okay, you can say it.
Mark Diamond, fantastic name. And you, of course, are a fantastic baritone. One of the best baritones I've ever heard, actually.
So sweet.
I know you recently got a PlayStation, but would you call yourself a gamer per se?
I wouldn't really call myself a gamer anymore. I used to be a gamer, so I guess once a gamer, always a gamer. I still love games. I still watch a lot of streams. I played a lot of Dota, and so I still am into the professional scene a little bit. You know, it's still a passion, but I just don't have the time as much as I did. I just got done playing through God of War, and I mostly do sort of casual story mode RPGs and stuff these days.
Yeah. You played a lot of Stellaris too. I remember I put that in my community post because you love Stellaris, right?
I love Stellaris. And one of the reasons I love it is because the first time I played it, it was late at night. I turned it on and I had my surround sound up, and the sound just takes you to a whole other world. The music is epic.
Do you listen to video game soundtracks out of games? Not really, right?
I do some, but not a lot. It's not a regular thing. I mostly do it when I'm just wanting to relive a video game, go down a little nostalgia, or if something on the stream, because I catch the stream now and again, and if I get curious, I'll go and listen.
Oh, my streams, yeah.
On your stream, yeah. And actually, whenever I started listening to your channel and watching your channel, I started thinking more back on what my experiences were like, and I thought, wow, music informs so much of those things.
So much.
I didn't even realize it at the time.
It's been so interesting to like share this with like folks from like a slightly older generation and see their reactions to it, because I feel like for our generation, because we're both core millennials, like I think because we sort of grew up with it, like we don't care if a piece loops or something. We don't even probably care if it's synthetic per se. I mean, you and I have both sung on orchestras, you know, around the world, but like to me it's like I don't care if it's synthetic so long as there's like an emotional connection and an emotional feeling to it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely not. I mean, of course I love the acoustic, the live thing as well, but I mean that's why go out and catch your local orchestra doing a video game music night. I mean, it's epic. So yeah, I have no qualms with synthetic music.
Everhood is a really interesting game because you're dodging instead of hitting notes. You're actually dodging notes, which is really cool. And it's hard. It'd be like you've played Dark Souls, I think, right?
Oh, I played it for like 1 second and then I was like, this game is too damn hard. I'm too old for this shit.
But it's like essentially the Dark Souls of rhythm games. It's incredibly difficult.
Ooh. that song was incredible.
Well, that song was amazing. Yeah.
I grew up listening to like hardcore music and metal music and stuff. I had this friend who was into this sort of like new age retro hair metal stuff, like Dragon Force and stuff. And there are so many tropes in that music that is so good. The dueling guitars and the way the drum beat goes, but then they modernize it with things. It was good. So
something I really like, and I don't know how you feel about it, is when we take something that we know and we shift it into something fresh and modern. Something that just came out recently was this character named Kafka in this Honkai Star Rail. The music actually is starting to get amazing. I haven't been the biggest fan of Honkai Star Rail's music. It's been nice, but they've had a couple pieces that have come out that have been really good. In her trailer here, they went with Vivaldi's Winter, and it's okay. It's really, really, really cool.
All units, target spotting! Target spotting! Stick to the plan. Shoot on sight. I repeat, shoot on sight.
Don't be afraid. Listen to me. Wasn't it you who invited me? The silk is too fragile to be a threat. Unless you're more fragile than the silk. Case in point. Destiny has thousands of faces. Why does it choose to wear this one? Stealing a glance? Now then, where are you hiding? Sooner or later, the curtain has to fall. As for the ending, wanna take a guess? Heads or tails? What's your answer?
What do you think?
Yes, dude. Yes. That is so good. I mean, the animation is so good too.
I mean, yeah.
I love how they're using that Vivaldi theme and building in a super modern way, not even just like a little modern.
This whole idea of neoclassical has already been around, so it's sort of interesting that here we are in the year of our Lord 2023, and this stuff is evolving in such an interesting way. Where we're able to take pieces like this, like Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, Clair de Lune, and turning it in Chopin pieces and turning them into video game tunes. And I wondered what your thoughts were on like the evolution of classical music in that realm.
I mean, I love it. I'm all about it. I think there is a big stigma of sort of making sure all sort of classical music is sacred, you know, like no one can change it, no one can touch it, no one can build on it, you know. It's like it is what it is, and it is perfect the way it is. I don't disagree that it's special in its original form, but I think expanding on it, using those themes that were brilliantly created and, you know, using them to inspire another audience, I have no problem with that at all. I love it. I embrace it. This piece is great though. I mean, I think the breakdowns are epic. I love how it goes in and out. I love how it comes, you start without it, and then it sort of comes out of nowhere and you're like, oh, here's this theme that everybody knows, even if you don't know where it's from.
You've obviously seen some of the stuff that's going on in the opera industry, canceled season, opera guild shutting down and things. And it makes me think about, you know, how stuck sometimes opera, the industry itself, and I know that you and I are both sort of out of it in our own ways. It does feel like there is some sort of limiting process that's going on within the opera industry that I feel like something like Kafka's piece, this trailer, is actually bringing classical music to an audience that may or may not A, care about going to see a live performance, and B, may not even have access. And so in a way, it's like, let me give you something that's really beautiful that you and I might know about, but they don't know. And so there's this exposure that's occurring. So, I mean, do you think that that's a good thing? And do you think that like there are lessons that maybe opera in a modern time period can learn from?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, especially in America. I mean, we just have close to no classical music education in early childhood development and all of that. I mean, whereas in Europe, people are going to the opera in elementary school. Yeah, I think finding other ways to get this stuff out and let people know how great it is I think it's an amazing thing. And yeah, I do think there's plenty to learn. And I think the big challenges that arise are the technology. I mean, I think about this production. I sort of got a little bit of insider information because I knew someone in the cast, and they were saying the director is a complete genius, brilliant, incredible ideas. I just don't think the opera world has caught up yet. I don't think they can handle his ideas. They can't even process them and put them onto the stage. And that was visual stuff, of course, but it takes a lot of resources that opera houses don't have built in.
And I meant Final Fantasy 14 for the record, not 16.
was a lot. Like that was incredible. You went through so many scenes in that one trailer. I mean, I can't believe the different worlds that they created throughout that.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my Lord, that vocal line at the beginning. I'm sorry, that was mean. That is a high.
It's high.
line. That is really high. And they put text up there, which is really tricky. She did a great job. I was like, whoa, that is a hard thing.
It's a solid high C at least.
But it set the scene so beautifully.
Yeah.
And honestly, I almost feel like there's some composers that do this on purpose where they put people in uncomfortable ranges in their voice because they want it to create this different effect. And in this instance, I mean, we're dealing with high fantasy. So, I mean, like, why not? Give us some crazy tessitura, really high range that makes the voice feel almost otherworldly in a way. When the moods were in different places, I feel like I didn't need to be watching it. I could have just told you what we were looking at. You know, this is the rest. This is the calm before the storm. This is the battle theme. You know, these sorts of things. They're so clear, but they're so unique.
I love especially the ending there. It really is like a dump of serotonin there where you're just like, oh.
So epic. Oh, man, the choir just like full out. I mean, it felt like a Beethoven sort of just just going for it. It was epic.
And it doesn't feel like a caricature either. It feels really like embracing that Native American aspect of musical aspects with hard rock and, you know, this hardcore elements.
Absolutely. I loved it. Oh man, it's been so long. I've kind of almost forgot the beginning, but like I did not see the drop coming. I mean, it got me off guard. I'm sure the video is like me, like it honored, I think, the tradition in so many ways. When I hear stuff like that, I always wonder where they get the vocalists for these things.
Right.
I want, you know, they're so talented, but it's such a specific style of singing, and it's really great. Also, oh my God, that flute was going off in the middle. At one point, I thought it was Anchorman. You know, I thought the guy was just playing the jazz flute. It was intense, but I loved it.
It's an amazing thing, the world we live in, where there's so much music everywhere you turn. You just have to look.
So much, and to think like how much somebody had to invest to create that music, and that's just to like think of the idea of the music and put it onto paper, and then to invest in building your craft enough and your reputation enough to then get it out into the world and to get somebody to hire you to do it. I mean, it's just so much that one human had to do to get it to be in existence. Just wild, mind-blowing to think about it when you look at the billions of songs on Spotify.
You vibe with that?
I'm a sucker for this stuff. I know you picked all the good stuff anyway. I didn't catch on to it until about a minute in. That guy's, let me see, right foot must have been tired. The bass drum.
Oh,
I mean, he was.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
For like 3 minutes, he did it, and then everyone But it's the heartbeat, right? It just
Yeah. The adrenaline of that feeling of flying and
oh man, it's just this like go, momentum. We're moving forward. There's no choice but forward. That's the way we're going. I love that feeling. That's what I'm here for.
It's interesting though, because actually this is almost a mirror of this other song, Archange. It's essentially the skeleton of Archange on top of, you know what? Just for science.
The other thing I'll say is before we go on to this thing, the other thing that was so cool to me was when it dropped out, when the bass drum dropped out, it turned into this like, it felt like you were free falling. It was like, it almost felt like you were just gliding. So it was just like, it felt like you were in the air. And then at the end with those like cool effects that sounded like a chopper coming in, it was cool. I love that.
This is Archange. So we just listened to Soul Squadron, which is directly connected to the Soul Squadron as a whole. And now we're going to listen to Mihai's theme. So that's the same. I also love the Latin chant thing.
Oh yeah.
You don't get it anywhere and not outside of.
Well, and it's all male voices, so it's this idea of this sort of brotherhood in the sky kind of a thing. Just,
Here comes the build. Oh, not yet. The bubbling.
the words too.
Yeah.
So good. When the female voices come in, it's to protect us.
Yeah. And the engine roar of the engine there. You hear that? Strong beats.
Mixed meter too.
Oh yeah.
I love it, man.
Mhm,
It's so
yeah.
good. I mean, you're right. It is opera. I mean, it's just opera. I mean, you've got really clear characters built. They're in the orchestra, they're in the different voice parts. And then by the time you get to the end, that's like Mozart. That's what Mozart did. He set this, he gave you this theme, he gave you that theme, he gave you this theme. And then at the end, he just threw them together.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody comes in at the end. It just feels like this sort of perfect chaos. Man, I had goosebumps.
It's so funny because I got a comment once that was like, "What's with all the ace combat?" And I'm like, "Have you listened to it, man? Because like this is like really good."
Oh God, at the end when the it's terrifying. Like the way it's set, you make you scared.
The main theme are from Hearts of Iron. There's a couple strategy game tracks in here because people were like, "Mark likes Stellaris. Well, he'll love that."
I appreciate y'all. Hey, they're just looking out for me.
That was the first time I heard it too. Obviously, it's a little repetitive. It certainly is like pleasant and lovely, and you get the sense of the militaristic approach, right? It has this very much this marziale sound quality. Some of the voice leading for me personally, like, were really satisfying to listen to, but I do feel like it got like about like halfway in when it got to the slow B section before we recapped to the A, I was like, okay, this is a very long 5 minutes. But that's not to say it was bad. It was very good.
Yeah,
like,
no. I'm a sucker for brass. My dad was a trumpet player. I played a little bit, but I was never good. There's a sound of just like a bugle that just makes me weepy. I don't know why. I don't know. There was something so nostalgic. America, military.
Yeah.
That was so like tug on your heartstrings. And you're right. It's some of the voice leading that did it.
When that chorus came in, but it was like under the surface there, I was like, oh, yeah.
And it told a story. I agree
sure.
that it stretched out. But I mean, I liked the B section, actually. To me, the B section was loss. Do we get back up or do we just stay down? And so elongating that, yeah, I think it worked for me. And then when it comes back,
let's go. We got this. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's just, I mean, that's the nature of video game music, is that you have other things occupying your mind when you're listening. So it's just, when you're just listening, it can get a little long.
I do think that like a lot of these main themes, I wonder if they sort of cover the like hero's journey, that Joseph Campbell sort of thought process where, the hero starts a certain way. And I feel like every Marvel movie has that formula now too, where it's like, hero, oh no, hero, but for real, like.
Follow me, I'm standing on the border of everything. Listen close, can you hear the spirits sing lost messages of long ago? Like we knew before,
Yeah.
That wasn't from in the actual game though. Apparently, it was an EP.
I don't care. That song was sick. Somebody said in the chat, it sounds like 2000s, not gonna lie. You are right.
Yeah.
That was Warped Tour, early 2000s, no doubt. And I was there, like fanboying my little heart out. I loved Screamo back then.
Oh, God.
All that. But then that modulation,
I know.
that was wild. The B section was weird, where they went into like just remember when they just randomly changed songs in the middle though?
Yes, I recall. Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, you can't just change songs. I mean, you gotta like connect it somehow. But it was still good. I was still into it.
I don't have an opinion on that song, honestly. That was not the type of music I listened to as a kid. So for me, I was like, all right, I'm vibing, but I wasn't like crazy about it like you are, which is.
I like those vocals. I'm
The
a
vocals
big
are
fan.
great. Yeah.
That's like how I learned to sing. Seriously, was like
Really?
singing along with stuff like that. This like where you're like really on your breath. I mean, they're so high.
When it comes to technique, there are multiple different techniques, right? We're talking like we could talk opera, which is about raising the soft palate, lowering the larynx, and having air support.
Sure.
And then there's the musical theater, which is, the sort of on the mic, thinking about life, right?
Sure.
And then there's this, which is what you just demonstrated. How does that even work?
I mean, it's full voice singing. I mean, so many of them, they're like, when they're singing, they're really, like really giving it.
But
And all I had to learn to do was basically do that, but lift my palate. And then I was like, there you go. It just turns over, accesses some more resonance. But I was learning to like sing on these long belts, like singing along with these people. And they have some crazy voices, some of them. That person just sang like a freaking high G. I don't even know how they did that. intense. I think it's a few minutes too long if we're talking about
I think
if we're
in
talking about a
context-
casual listen.
Yeah.
But like in the middle of a battle or watching some epic cutscene,
You're fighting a
fire.
dragon with like with two giant thundering red like lightning bolts as weapons and stuff, and he's like, it's like,
Oh man, it's so intense, and the organ.
Oh.
Just
you just don't hear that. You just don't hear that in modern music ever, really.
gave me like Castlevania vibes.
The main emotion that one can grasp from that is the sound of sadness, right? You know, "Ya-da-dum, boy, ya-da-dum-da-dum." There's like a melancholy, there's loss there. And it's interesting how melody is like such a driving factor in getting us as humans to understand emotional context, you know. And I feel like that piece in particular, even though it looped for quite a bit, that melody was the through line that I think carried it and allowed it to like sort of permeate a little bit and allow you to feel.
It's a nice track. There was nothing particularly remarkable about it for me.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like it could have been any number of anime style RPG or something. I don't know Code Vein at all, and I'm not saying that that's what that is, but I'm just saying
It actually is
into that genre.
It's like an anime Dark Souls. So.
Oh, well, there you go. It's just got that sort of, I don't know, I just felt like I was in that world. And the melody was really nice. Some nice elements. I just feel like, you know, they had choir that came in at one point. I'm jamming, man. I'm jamming.
It's a good loop, yeah.
That is so good. This has some of the classic tropes that I love, like that. Again, there's always this instrument that doesn't stop. And this one, it was the strings. I shake it,
Yeah.
And I just love it. It's like the fight's got to go on. And then they come in with that Japanese like guitar, that like 3-string guitar. I don't know what it's called. Was that supposed to be the baddie?
Yeah. Well, so Magnamalo is like, well, as you see from the picture, Magnamalo is like this like tiger, but like with a samurai face. And I think Rise takes place in some sort of a world that's sort of feudal, ancient Japan style. Yeah, I love that. The combo of orchestra, Western with Eastern instrument, like folk instrument combined into one. It's like delivers on a really another level. It's very cool.
They even threw in like the wooden flute in there, and they were playing with some of those tonguings, like the.
Let's listen to Dishonored's main theme. Have you played Dishonored?
Negative.
You know, before we listen to not Child of Light, Dishonored's main theme, Mark, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself?
I live in Central Texas. I teach at Baylor University. I'm a voice teacher there, and I teach singing, and I teach how to pronounce languages, and I teach about song. I will soon teach about song literature and stuff like that. So yeah, I live here with my wife and my 2 chihuahuas. I sing a lot. I ride my mountain bike even more. I try and get on my gaming systems whenever I have a free minute.
I know you've played plenty of games in your day, but like, has this experience sort of shifted your perspective on video games? Because there's been a lot of tracks you haven't heard. You pretty much haven't known any of these tracks, actually.
It's somewhat what I expected. I mean, but that's only because I'm a fan of yours. So I've enjoyed watching. I've enjoyed watching a lot of this stream and watching several of the videos and learning about the genre. But that being said, let's pretend like this is my first introduction to the channel, and my introduction to the channel did change my perspective on things. I mean, I knew it was there. You know, I knew the music was there. I just, like I said a minute ago, 2 hours ago at this point, I didn't realize how important the music was in my experience, even at the time. And I think a lot of people don't. I think probably a lot of your viewership can attest to that. And that's why I love what you're doing. It's like getting the word out there. Like, this stuff is good. And frankly, we said this already, but I wish orchestras and operas would take a cue and write an opera with one of these composers who knows how to write for what people want. Melody. You know, melody. And you know, it's beyond melody. I get that we want to challenge ourselves and we want to progress and we want to grow, but there are things that we know and we love and we respond to, like tropes in music, for example. I mean, listen to the I forget what the game was now, but the one with the tank on the front.
Hearts of Iron 4. Yeah.
Hearts of Iron. That game, I mean, that was such a stereotypical piece, but I promise you, if you played that in a concert hall, you're going to be, that's full of veterans, you know?
Well, absolutely. 1,000,000%.
They're gonna just
yeah.
Their heartstrings are just going to be ripped apart.
Why are we bemoaning too? The one thing that I always see is like, oh, well, you know, they did their best or they're trying it. You know, God, the amount of pieces I sang from modern composers that were absolutely terrible. And then you pivot like over to video games that is writing like a beautiful, like melodic ascension, or like something that, like, you know, obviously I understand that writing for the voice can be difficult, but I mean, these composers are not like, just like, although some of them, like Nobuo Uematsu, was not trained. He learned it on the fly. Like, he learned as he went. In the arts in 2023, and especially in the classical music world, where it's like, it's an excuse like, oh, well, I gotta write this recitativo, this aria, and it has no melody.
Right.
But meanwhile, video games are doing just that. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, guess who's listening? Guess whose music is getting listened to? Video games. Of course, they have a vehicle that's pretty popular.
Right.
Well, but the vehicle became popular in part because of the music.
It's the
And opera has that. They have a collaboration with a lot of other art forms. They have acting, they have drama, there's
plenty of visual aspects.
There's plenty of visual. There can be way more art. There can be dance. There can be all sorts of, there can be light show. There could be projections, which, you know, we're sitting here and being a little bemoaning this whole fact, like you said, but there are companies that are pushing the boundaries and are trying to reach new audiences in that way. And so I'm grateful for that. But I do feel like there's a lot of resistance to it. And academia is no better. I mean, they're maybe worse, you know, because it's tradition. I think there's value in tradition, but I think there's also a lot of value in what we can learn from industries like this.
All right. So we said Dishonored main theme. See, now that could be longer. I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
another minute of that.
I was ready for that to have a whole like development section. Like,
yeah, yeah,
man, that was cool.
Yeah.
The didgeridoo.
yeah. Dishonored is a game that's all about, you know, the plague is infesting, the rats are infesting the people. There's a lot of political intrigue. Basically, it's a stealth game, but it's one of these games where you basically can do anything you want. You can go in loud, you can go in quiet, you can go multiple different ways.
Sure.
And you really feel that like the creep of that like death right on your shoulder, you know what I mean? And also that mission at hand at the same time. It's really intense. It's really cool.
Yeah, there was this sort of stasis of like, you don't know if like everything's about to explode at any moment. Even near the end, I started getting a little like goosebump. You're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
We're about to throw down. And then I remembered you saying it was 2 minutes, and I was like, oh crap, it's probably almost over. Very cool. Sort of weird, but it was like not necessarily like a incredible piece of art, but like set a mood for sure.
What an interesting piece. Like I almost like rejected it because it made me uncomfortable. You know, and that's that like that Benjamin Britten essence where you like listen to a piece for the first time and you're like, I don't like that. But then you're like, wait, let me dig. And especially when that melody came in, for
me, there was this rhythmic effect in the near the second half that felt like it was like
crunch, yeah, like a wave.
Yeah, and it was like there was something so non-musical about it. Like I felt like there were a lot of non-musical elements in that. Like they were just sort of sound. It made for an interesting environment.
I mean, ambient music is such a dominant part of video game music on the whole too. So I think it's also really interesting that you bring that up because it's like what other genres of music, like semi-genres of music, like have like a whole sections of them dedicated to like ambient sound. You know what I mean? Don't you like how you feel like it's just carrying you along the path?
Oh yeah, I love that. I like pretty much everything about that. I think it's interesting how often, like as we're listening to so many things, how effective instrumentation is in this genre. The use of the flute.
Yeah, I know. That's like multiple times we've heard the flute. Yeah.
Like the flute's all over.
Yeah.
And it's really useful. I mean, it's such a primal sound, you know? It's just air being blown between wood. When it comes right down to it.
There's something about like orchestration and like instrument choice that can also indicate to us as listeners and viewers how to infer how we feel. The cello is going to give us a completely different feeling than the flute. The flute is a much more innocent, sometimes at times religious sound. And much in the same way that if you hear an organ, depending on the context, it can feel a totally different way. You know what I mean? Like, And speaking of organ, like to just play you something totally different, just for the sake of science.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Bro, that was awesome.
I know.
That rhythm at the beginning in the first section, it was like dido dado dido bedo ba
Yeah.
ba da da dee da da. I felt like I was in like a Destiny's Child song or something for a second. That was so good. And then the sequencing at the end, I mean, it's like
insane.
kind of insane.
I just can't believe it. Like, I want to play this for every single person I know. For me, like, there's nothing that gets me going more than this whole, basically the whole theme of this entire video has been the idea that we take something that is old and then dump something brand new on it, and then all of a sudden you have this fantastic like amalgamation of something. It's like so satisfying.
There are a couple accounts that I've seen on Instagram that like take classical music and like put beats to them and stuff.
The rap. Yes, I've seen.
Yes, and it's like it's very similar to this in some ways. If we were to use this genre that's already very popular and fuse it, we could get a lot more interest.
I think so. And metalheads would totally vibe with so much classical music.
Oh man, metal bands were putting orchestras in their music before anyone else was. I mean, it was like the creepy and organs and all that stuff.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That was a vibe.
Bro, that was a whole vibe from start to stop. It starts out and I feel like I'm in like Miami Vice or something. I need my aviators on. Then when that beat drops, you just feel like a total G.
It's so interesting because when we galvanize music, we can go like super fast or we can go kind of slow like this in this like slow ramp with that like, I guess, Indian flavor of like, you know, that drum and just felt very meditative.
Yeah.
And then this like slow lurch into like rising up into like deciding to take a stand and being like, you know what? Here I go, baby. And there was like sensuality in there too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Oh, no. This thing is a slow jam, bro. I thought, I was like, oh, okay. We got that tempo. Oh. It's all good. And then, this is what I thought at the beginning with the drums and stuff. I was going to like Rain Dance or something.
Oh,
because Risk of Rain. I don't know if it's anywhere near there, but it was like praying for rain. We're trying to get some rain, and then it's like, I'm out. I don't care if it's raining. The guitars in third, just like,
oh my God,
playing their little Santana vibes.
Yes, obviously, like any chance I get to spend time with you is time well spent, and you know we've known each other for a little over 10 years.
2011.
Yeah, 2011. Yeah. You know, I'm really grateful. You're the first guest that I brought on that has had much more experience than others in video games in general. So it was really cool.
I'm grateful as well, y'all. Seriously, this has been super fun. I've never been on any sort of live stream situation before like this, and it feels fun to interact with y'all and listen to music with y'all. It's cool to look at the chat and hear them talking about the same pieces we're listening to, and just know we have a big community of people out here loving it.
But I want to end with this particular piece. I find it incredibly moving. It's one of the best pieces in Destiny's musical canon, which Destiny's has great music. There's something about that is so interesting to me, that it continues to shift and it never really gets stale, even though it kind of is repetitive in that sense.
No. That one was different. I mean, it was certainly repetitive, but they did a good job of changing small things throughout. So it never felt like you were just getting the exact same thing over and over again. It's these things that we know work, and for some reason we're avoiding in so much of our genre. But I love it so much. It's the Mannheim steamroller, and adding in instruments that make it fuller and fuller, and it just moves on, right? And then I talk to my students about this all the time. This is my favorite thing about music. The music wants me so badly to go with them where they're going. I teach my students, you need to sing this like you desperately need everyone to hear what you're saying, just at the core of your being. And when music is played well, and music is written well, it does that. It just has this sort of desperation that it just needs you to be a part of it with it. And so I love that piece. And I think that one does it brilliantly, the way it builds.
You hear the high stakes in the music, and then that propels it forward. So, the issue of would this context matter? I think context in a visual medium helps, of course. But, the context can also be inferred.
Yeah. 100%.
Mark, it was really awesome to have you here. Thanks so much. I appreciate it very, very much. And it was great to see you. And I'll see you much more soon. And everybody, if you liked this, feel free to give it a like, give it a subscribe. I love doing these videos with folks and bringing them on and exposing them to video game music. Obviously, Mark had more experience than others that have come on the channel, but we're grateful all the same.
But lots of new music, and I love that.
Lots of new music, of course. So if you like it, feel free to like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. All right, bye.